You spent hundreds of hours in Stardew Valley. You've romanced every character and figured out your favorite. By now, you've tried multiplayer and every available mod and challenge playthrough. You're ready for something fresh, something new. When Stardew Valley released and immediately caught fire in 2016, it created the blueprint for farming sim games, much like Genshin Impact's more recent success created the blueprint for similar gacha games. Many later games have built on this blueprint, but struggle to make their own unique mark in the gaming world, such as the lesser-known Sunhaven and Coral Island. More farming sim games have even mimicked the 2D pixel style of Stardew Valley, hoping to emulate its quaint and cozy atmosphere. None so far have made something greater than the sum of their parts, or could hope to surpass Concerned Ape's masterpiece. Or have they? Enter Fields of Mistria. Fields of Mistria is in early access, so it's not done by any stretch of the imagination, but it already is clear that Mistria is onto something. From its softly stylized pixel art to the changes and additions it's made to the formula, Mistria is special in a way that farming sim games haven't achieved in almost a decade. A couple of quick disclaimers before we really dive in. First, I love Stardew. I have multiple hundreds of hours in the game, and this review is in no way intended to be down on Stardew Valley. It was made by a single person, it's a media giant, and it deserves every ounce of its fame. That doesn't mean it's perfect though. Second, this review isn't intended to just be a comparison between Fields of Mistria and Stardew Valley. However, since Stardew made the mold and Mistria used that mold, some comparisons are inevitable, unavoidable, and important to make. Without further ado, let's start with the basics, beginning with Mistria's flaws. Most of Mistria's drawbacks are simply due to it being in early access. There are some bugs, mostly minor, such as Celine stealing our flowers in the first festival if we don't at least get third place, and some missing features that will be added in future updates, such as pets and romancing. Much like Stardew, Mistria struggles to swing a sword in the player's desired direction. Some people obviously have more difficulty with this than others, such as myself, and it's better in Mistria than it was in Stardew Valley, but it's still just a tiny bit clunky at times. Similarly, when holding down copper and better tools to extend their range, Mistria favors sideways paths over north and south paths. This means if you're facing south but want to water the tile to the southeast of you and the tile south of it, your character is very likely to turn to the east and water the intended tile as well as those east of it instead of south. Watering, tilling, shoveling, and pickaxing from the east or west instead of north or south seems to make for a much more accurate experience. When using any tool, but most notably planting or watering seeds, or chopping and mining trees and stones, holding down the main action button, left click by default, doesn't repeat the action. In order to continually chop or mine without re-clicking the action button, a secondary button needs to be assigned. At this time, it doesn't have a default assignment. You also can't walk while planting seeds, which is very unfortunate. Hopefully it's something that will be resolved later in development. Additionally, planting seeds also consumes energy, limiting our potential farm sizes. And finally, Mistria's biggest flaw: we cannot romance Ulrich. Fields of Mistria doesn't have very many notable flaws, and now that we've covered them, it's time to move on to the things that make it truly special. Buckle in, it's kind of a long list. Alright, this one is such a game changer that it's going first and usurping the rest of my script. Stores are open 24/7. And the store owner doesn't need to be at the register for players to purchase things. That's right, no more stores being closed on Wednesdays. No more just barely missing the shopkeeper and watching them as they walk away from the register. No more waiting an extra day for the pumpkin seeds that you really wanted to plant before the cutoff at the end of fall. You can buy anything at any time. It's such a blessing that I frothed at the mouth when I realized it was a thing. Okay, back to the regularly scheduled review. Fields of Mistria truly expanded upon the blueprint Stardew created back in 2016, starting with the art style. Where Stardew features hard edges and rugged lines befitting farming life, Fields of Mistria's art style can be considered akin to cotton candy. It features smooth lines, rounded corners, and a pillow-soft palette. A lot of thought was clearly put into the vibe of the art style and the mood of the palette, and it really shows in the final visuals. Additionally, the character designs are absolutely wonderful and highly varied, from personality to skin tone to theme. Gone are Stardew's somewhat controversial standard teenager bachelors and bachelorettes, instead replaced by hardworking and friendly characters with a wide range of personalities and palettes. Each character has a familiar and attractive interest, including mining and blacksmithing, serving as a merchant in the community, and raising animals. Even the unfriendly bachelor, March, is immediately introduced by his brother as not having very many friends, and the player is asked to give him a chance. When he's drunk every Friday at the tavern night, we see through his tough guy act. In the end, there are just too many praises for Mistria's characters and character designs for me to really cover in a short review, and I want to leave things for you all to discover for yourselves, so let's move on. But on the topic of characters, unlike in Stardew Valley, characters in Fields of Mistria regularly interact with one another outside of cutscenes, often without the player joining in on the conversation. Every Friday during tavern nights, the player can bear witness to 3 unfolding stories, including one table playing D&D. These interactions give the characters much more breadth of personality and make them more relatable. They also open up significant opportunity for additional dialogue, increasing the number of lines we'll see from any given character before we start to see repeats. Additionally, every character has 4 unique outfits, one for each season, which further increases the variety we get to see from the characters. Okay, finally moving on from characters, let's talk mechanics. Trees are quicker to chop down, we never need to refill the watering can, and this one may be controversial, fishing has received a complete overhaul. Rather than being inspired by Stardew's fishing system, which I personally loathed, Mistria's fishing is inspired by Animal Crossing's fishing system, complete with different sizes of fish shadows. I may be more excited about this than most people, but I just love seeing the giant fish shadows and getting excited about them. In Mistria, we can also jump and swim, which allows for mechanics like diving, crossing rivers, and hopping over our own fences. We can also jump down small cliff sides in order to use them as a shortcut, much like in Pokemon. Mistria is also replete with forageables. On days when you run out of energy early and don't have any more energy foods to eat, there is always something to forage. The map is denser than that of Stardew, and every single section of it has multiple forageables, many of which grow back daily or every other day. Additionally, it's a little harder to run out of energy. The spa is immediately available but for a fee, and every day we can visit the tavern for a free bowl of soup to replenish a little energy. There are also some potions and such that allow us to regain energy or have more to begin with. Mistria's version of the community center is an interesting mix between the standard community center and Animal Crossing's museum. It has more, quote, bundles on the way, and not everything is able to be donated yet, but I'm personally excited to see where it goes. It's immediately available, and items that can be donated have a marker on their description showing players if it can be donated and if it already has been, cutting down on wasted trips to the community center for those of us a little too dull to remember that we can view the community center via our inventory. What is extra nice about the inventory as well is the map. The map shows the location of every character at all times. There's no more need to look at the wiki for characters' schedules. Mistria's mines open once the player achieves stone renown levels, which can take as little as a few days, and the monsters are a significant improvement over those in Stardew Valley. No more being bullied into a corner and stood on by a slime. They're harmless unless actively attacking, which they usually do via projectiles or jumping on you. Additionally, projectiles can be parried. The variety of monsters in Mistria is staggering even on the first few floors, and each has unique mechanics. If you stay out too late, you don't lose any items or money, and if you're knocked out by enemies, you only lose some money and time. And as long as you're in bed before 2 AM, there are no penalties at all. To aid one's farming and fighting, Fields of Mistria features a skill tree that consists of both gaining levels in the respective task as well as spending a currency called Essence, which is gained through participating in any standard task: woodcutting, mining, farming, and fishing, to name a few. This skill tree allows players to prioritize the features of tasks they value most highly, such as receiving seeds back from watering plants or finding treasure rooms in the mines. Speaking of farming, no more giving up your watering can. We can craft our own improved tools, and we don't need to forfeit our current one to do so. If you'd prefer not to forge your own, then they can be purchased from the blacksmithing brothers Ulrich and March. And even if you needed to give up your watering can, it's possible to see the weather prediction for the upcoming day without opening a dialogue. The crystal ball the game provides early on displays the next day's weather visually. And on the topic of crafting, Fields of Mistria has dozens of furnishing items and decorations in a wide variety of colors, allowing players to completely decorate their farms and houses. Recipes can be purchased every Saturday at the Saturday market, as well as earned through a variety of tasks. Additionally, wood and other resources cannot fall in the water. There are so many amazing things about Fields of Mistria, and I don't have time to dedicate to all of them, but if we use the wrong tool or hit the ground by mistake, no stamina gets spent, and items on the ground don't despawn, so we can get forageables respawning and regrowing without picking up the ones we just harvested. And finally, the best improvement of them all, there are more hats. While I was writing it down for the purpose of scripting, I realized just how many improvements Fields of Mistria has made to Stardew's formula. At this point, a conclusion feels a bit redundant, but regardless. Fields of Mistria is an incredibly sweet and cozy up-and-coming sim game that has already achieved massive traction on social media. Its adorable art style and lovable characters are one thing, but the number of improvements and quality of life changes made to the standard farming sim formula is unbelievable. I cannot possibly recommend Fields of Mistria enough, especially if you don't like Stardew but always wanted to, or only like Stardew if it's modded. Fields of Mistria is definitely going to surprise you. After almost 10 years of playing Stardew Valley, Fields of Mistria truly feels like a breath of fresh air and its own thing. Some games feel like Stardew clones that tried their best to branch out, but Mistria succeeded. Thank you for joining me for this honest review, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.